You think you know betrayal. Wait until you hear what my husband and my own sister did behind my back for 2 years. 2 years. And the way karma destroyed them both. I couldn't have planned it better myself. This is the story of how I lost everything and then watched them lose even more. Hey everyone, my name is Sarah, and 3 years ago I had the perfect life. A loving husband, a close relationship with my younger sister, a beautiful home. Or at least, that's what I thought. Today I'm sharing the most painful betrayal of my life. And honestly, the ending still shocks me. So let's get into it. It started on a random Tuesday in October. I came home early from work because I wasn't feeling well. Nothing serious, just a migraine that had been building all morning. My supervisor told me to go home and rest. I texted Jake to let him know I was coming home early, but he didn't respond. That wasn't unusual. He was always in meetings. I pulled into our driveway around 2 in the afternoon. The sun was shining. Our neighbors were outside raking leaves. Everything looked so normal, so peaceful. I had no idea my entire world was about to shatter. I walked into my house, our house. The home my husband Jake and I had bought 5 years earlier. We'd spent months searching for the perfect place. We'd painted every room together. We'd made love in every room before the furniture arrived. Laughing about christening our new home. This house was supposed to be where we'd raise our children. Where we'd grow old together. And I heard something upstairs. At first, I thought maybe Jake was watching TV, but then I heard a woman's voice, a familiar voice. Laughing. My heart started racing. My hands went cold. I stood at the bottom of the staircase, frozen, telling myself there had to be a reasonable explanation. Maybe it was a work colleague. Maybe they were on a video call. Maybe I was being paranoid, but I knew. Deep down, I already knew. I walked up those stairs, and every step felt like forever. My heart was pounding so hard, I could hear it in my ears. The hallway seemed longer than usual. Each step closer to our bedroom door felt like walking through thick mud. I reached for the doorknob. My hand was shaking. I took a breath, and I opened our bedroom door. There they were. My husband of 7 years, and my sister Emily. In our bed. The bed where we'd planned our future, talked about having kids, shared our dreams, made love, held each other through bad days. They were tangled up in our sheets. The sheets I had washed just 3 days ago. The sheets with the little embroidered pattern I'd picked out specially. For a moment, time stopped. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't think. My brain couldn't process what my eyes were seeing. I just stood there. I couldn't even scream. My mouth opened, but no sound came out. Jake jumped up first. His face went completely white. He started stammering, trying to cover himself with the sheet, reaching for his clothes. Sarah, oh my God, Sarah, this isn't, we didn't, I can explain. Emily grabbed the sheets, pulling them up to cover herself. Tears already streaming down her face. She was saying my name over and over. Sarah, please, Sarah, please, what? Please forgive the fact that you've been sleeping with my husband. Please understand that you've destroyed our family. Please pretend I didn't just see you in bed with the man. I promised to spend my life with. I still couldn't speak. I looked at Jake. Really looked at him. This man I'd loved for 10 years. This man I'd trusted completely. This man who'd held me when my grandfather died. Who'd proposed to me on a beach in Hawaii. Who'd cried at our wedding. And then I looked at Emily. My baby sister. The girl I'd braided hair for when she was 5. The teenager I'd helped through her first heartbreak. The young woman I'd supported through college. My maid of honor. My best friend. They were both crying now. Both trying to talk at once. Making excuses. Saying it wasn't what it looked like. Even though it was exactly what it looked like. I turned around. Walked out of the room. Down the hallway. Down the stairs. Past the family photos on the wall. Photos of me and Jake. Photos of me and Emily. Photos of all of us at Christmas. At birthdays. At family dinners. All lies. Everything was a lie. I got in my car. Jake ran out of the house, pulling on his jeans. No shirt. No shoes. He was yelling, banging on my car window. Sarah, stop, please, we need to talk about this. I looked straight ahead, put the car in reverse, backed out of the driveway, and I drove. I drove to a hotel on the other side of town, checked in, went to the room, sat on the bed, and that's when I finally broke down. I cried for hours, gut-wrenching sobs that made my whole body shake. I cried until I couldn't cry anymore. until I was just empty, numb. My phone wouldn't stop ringing. Jake, Emily. Jake again. Emily again. Text after text. Call after call. I turned it off. I stayed in that hotel room for 3 days. Ordered room service. Barely ate. Took long showers where I'd just sit on the floor under the hot water, trying to wash away the image of what I'd seen. I called in sick to work. Told them I had the flu. In a way, I did. I was sick. Sick to my stomach. Sick at heart. Sick with betrayal. On the 3rd day, I finally turned my phone back on. 63 missed calls. Over 100 text messages, voicemails, from Jake, from Emily, from my mom asking where I was because Jake had called her panicking. I listened to one of Jake's voicemails. He was crying, begging me to talk to him, saying he was so sorry, that it was a huge mistake, that he loved me, that he needed me. I deleted it, but I needed information. I needed to understand. So I texted him, one message. We need to talk. Public place. Tomorrow. 3 p.m. The coffee shop downtown. He responded within seconds. Yes, thank you. I'm so sorry. I love you, please. I didn't respond to that. Let me back up and tell you about Jake and Emily, because understanding their history makes this betrayal cut even deeper. Jake and I met in college when I was 21. He was in my economics class. Sat behind me. One day he asked to borrow a pen. We started talking. He asked me out for coffee. That coffee turned into dinner. That dinner turned into a relationship. Within 6 months, we were saying I love you. Within a year, we were talking about marriage. Jake was everything I thought I wanted. Ambitious. Charming. Good. He came from a good family. Had big plans for his future. He was romantic too. He'd leave me little notes. Bring me flowers for no reason. Tell me I was beautiful, even when I was wearing sweatpants and no makeup. My family fell in love with him. My dad would take him to football games. My mom would cook his favorite meals when he came over. And Emily, my little sister. She thought he was the best thing that ever happened to our family. Emily was my younger sister by 4 years. When Jake and I started dating, she was just 17, still in high school. She was this sweet, shy girl, a little insecure, always comparing herself to other girls. I'd always tried to build her up, tell her how beautiful and smart and special she was. She'd come to me for advice about everything. Boys, school, friends, life. We were close. Really close. She was my best friend. When I told her, Jake proposed, she screamed and jumped up and down like she was the one getting married. She helped me plan everything, went dress shopping with me, helped me pick out flowers and decorations. She was so excited. At our wedding, she was my maid of honor. She wore a dusty rose dress that looked beautiful on her. She helped me get ready, fixed my veil, held my bouquet during the ceremony, and she gave the most beautiful speech at the reception. I still remember parts of it. She said how Jake was the best thing that ever happened to me, how she'd never seen me so happy, how Jake treated me like a queen, how she hoped that someday she'd find a love like ours, how lucky I was, how lucky they both were to have found each other, and how grateful she was to gain a brother. She cried during that speech. So did I, so did half the guests. It was this beautiful moment, this celebration of love and family, and it was all a lie. Or it became one. I'm still not sure which is worse. For the first few years of our marriage, everything seemed perfect. Jake and I settled into married life. He got a job at a prestigious marketing firm downtown, started climbing the corporate ladder. I finished nursing school and got a job at St. Mary's Hospital. We bought our house, made it a home. Emily came around a lot. Sunday dinners, holiday gatherings, random weeknight visits. She and Jake got along great. They had similar senses of humor, liked the same TV shows, could talk for hours about nothing. I thought it was wonderful. I loved that my husband and my sister were close. It made family gatherings easy and fun. No tension, no awkwardness, just family. God, I was so blind. About 3 years into our marriage, Emily went through a really bad breakup. She'd been dating this guy, Marcus, for about 2 years. They lived together. She thought he was going to propose. Instead, she came home one day and found him in bed with someone else. She was devastated. Absolutely destroyed. She called me crying so hard I could barely understand her. I immediately drove to her apartment, helped her pack a bag, and brought her to stay with us. She stayed for 3 weeks. Jake and I both supported her through it. She'd cry on our couch. We'd watch movies with her, eat ice cream, talk about what a jerk Marcus was, how she deserved better, how she'd find real love someday. Jake was so good to her during that time. He'd make her laugh when she was crying, give her pep talks, tell her she was amazing, and any guy would be lucky to have her. He'd stay up late watching TV with her when she couldn't sleep. I remember feeling grateful that my husband was so kind to my sister in her time of need. I'd go to bed, exhausted from 12-hour hospital shifts, and leave them downstairs watching movies. I trusted him completely. I trusted them both completely. Now, I wonder, was that when it started? During those late nights when I was asleep upstairs? Or did it start later? I wouldn't find out the truth until much later. After Emily moved back to her own apartment, things went back to normal, or what I thought was normal. Jake and I continued our lives. Work, dinners, weekends, plans for the future. We'd been talking about starting a family. I was 31. Jake was 33. We'd been married 5 years. It felt like the right time. I'd brought it up several times. Jake always said yes. He wanted kids, but maybe we should wait a little longer. Get more financially stable. Make sure we were ready. I didn't push. I figured he was being responsible, thinking about our future. Now I realized he was stalling. Because how could he have a baby with me when he was sleeping with my sister? The signs were all there. I just didn't see them. Or I didn't want to see them. Jake started working late more often, coming home at 9, 10, sometimes 11 at night. Said his boss was demanding. Big projects. Important clients. I believed him because I had no reason not to. He started going on more business trips. Weekend trips to conferences. Sometimes week-long trips to meet with clients in other cities. He'd send me photos from hotel rooms, from conference centers, from restaurants. I never questioned any of it. Emily became more distant with me. She'd cancel plans last minute. Was always busy when I tried to get together. When we did see each other, she seemed distracted. Guilty almost. But I chalked it up to her still recovering from her breakup. Figured she needed space. Jake's phone became off. He'd always had a password on it, but suddenly he was very careful about it. Never left it lying around. Always face down. If I picked it up to hand it to him, he'd snatch it away quickly. Said it was work stuff. Confidential client information. Our sex life decreased. He was always tired, always stressed, always had an excuse. I felt unattractive, unwanted. Started questioning myself. Was I not pretty enough? Not interesting enough? Not good enough? I started working out more. Bought new clothes. Tried to be more spontaneous. More fun. More everything. Nothing changed. He was still distant. Still distracted. Still not interested. Now I know why. He was getting what he needed from my sister. Looking back, there were so many red flags. So many moments that should have tipped me off. But I trusted him. I loved him. I believed in our marriage. And Emily, God, Emily. She'd come to family dinners and sit across from me, smiling, asking about my day, complimenting my cooking. She'd hug me goodbye and tell me she loved me, all while sleeping with my husband. How does someone do that? How does someone look their sister in the eye, knowing what they're doing behind their back? How do you sit at Thanksgiving dinner, hold hands while saying grace, and pretend everything is fine? I still don't understand it. I don't think I ever will. So that brings us back to that Tuesday in October, the day my world fell apart. The day I walked in and saw the two people I trusted most in this world betraying me in the worst possible way. The next day, I met Jake at the coffee shop. I got there early. Sat in a corner booth. Ordered coffee I didn't drink. Waited. He showed up looking terrible. Eyes bloodshot and swollen. Face unshaven. Hair a mess. Wearing the same clothes from the day before. He looked like he hadn't slept. Good. I hoped he hadn't. He sat down across from me and immediately started crying. I'm so sorry, Sarah. I'm so sorry. I never meant to hurt you. It was a mistake. A huge mistake. I just stared at him. My voice came out cold, flat. How long? He looked down at his coffee cup. Wouldn't meet my eyes. What? How long have you been sleeping with my sister? He was quiet for a long time. Too long. Finally, he whispered, about 2 years. 2 years. The words hit me like a physical blow. 2 years. 730 days. While I was working myself to exhaustion, While I was planning our future, while I was trying to get pregnant with his child, I felt bile rise in my throat. When did it start? He took a shaky breath. Do you remember when Emily stayed with us? After her breakup, my blood went cold. That was almost 3 years ago. So it wasn't 2 years. It was longer. He saw my face and quickly corrected himself. No, nothing happened then. But that's when things started feeling different. We got close, too close. But nothing happened then, I swear. So when? He rubbed his face with his hands. About 6 months after she moved out. We ran into each other at a bar. You were working a night shift. We had a few drinks. Started talking. One thing led to another. One thing led to another. Such a convenient phrase. Such an easy way to minimize betrayal. So you accidentally fell into bed with my sister. He flinched. It wasn't like that. Then what was it like, Jake? Explain it to me. Make me understand how you accidentally had an affair with my sister for 2 years. He started crying harder. I don't know. I don't know how it happened. We didn't plan it. It just happened, and then it kept happening and I couldn't stop. Couldn't or wouldn't. He didn't answer. I leaned forward. Were you ever going to tell me, or were you just going to keep lying to my face for the rest of our lives? I don't know. I wanted to tell you. So many times, but I couldn't. I was scared. Scared of losing you. So instead, you just kept betraying me. And you brought her into our home. Into our bed. He nodded, crying. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Where did you do this? What? Where did you have sex with my sister? I need to know. Our house. Her apartment. Hotels were... Sarah, please. Where? Jake. His voice was barely a whisper. All of those places, all of them. Our bed, our home, the place where I slept, where I cooked meals for him, where I'd imagined raising our children. I felt sick. Did you take her on your business trips? Sometimes, yes. So those photos you sent me. From conferences, from hotels. Was she there? Sometimes. Not in the photos. But in the room? Yes. Everything was a lie. Every single thing. Do you love her? He looked up at me, eyes wide. No, Sarah, I love you. I've always loved you. You have a funny way of showing it. I made a mistake. A terrible mistake. But we can work through this. We can go to counseling. I'll do anything. Anything to fix this. I laughed. Actually laughed. It wasn't a happy sound. You think we can fix this? You think there's any coming back from this? People do. Couples work through affairs all the time. This wasn't an affair, Jake. This was a 2-year relationship with my sister. This wasn't a drunken mistake. This wasn't a one-time thing. You chose her, again and again, and again, for 2 years. I chose both of you. I never stopped loving you. You don't get to have both of us. You don't get to destroy my life, and then ask me to forgive you so you can feel better about yourself. So that's it. We're done. I looked at him, really looked at him. Tried to find any remnant of the man I'd fallen in love with. I couldn't find him. He was gone. Or maybe he'd never really existed. Yes, we're done. I want a divorce. He broke down completely then, sobbing, begging, telling me how much he loved me, how he'd never see Emily again, how he'd do anything to save our marriage. But I was done. You don't come back from betrayal like this. Some things can't be fixed. I stood up to leave. He grabbed my hand. Sarah, please, don't give up on us. I love you. I pulled my hand away. If you loved me, you wouldn't have spent 2 years sleeping with my sister. And I walked out. Next I had to deal with Emily. She'd been blowing up my phone too. Texts, calls, voicemails, all saying the same thing. I'm sorry. Please, talk to me. Please forgive me. I never meant to hurt you, but she did hurt me. Intentionally. For 2 years. She showed up at the hotel that night. The front desk called my room. Said my sister was in the lobby asking to see me. I almost said no. Almost told them to send her away. But I needed to hear what she had to say. I needed to understand how the person I'd loved and protected my whole life could do this to me. I told them to send her up. When I opened the door, Emily looked even worse than Jake. Her face was swollen from crying. Her eyes were red and puffy. Her hands were shaking. She tried to hug me the moment she saw me. I stepped back, held up my hand. Don't. She broke down immediately. Sarah, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I know I'm a terrible person. I know I don't deserve your forgiveness, but please, please talk to me. I let her in. We sat on opposite sides of the hotel room. She on the desk chair, me on the bed, as far apart as possible. Talk, I said. She took a shaky breath. I don't even know where to start. How about the beginning? How about you tell me how this started? How you decided it was okay to sleep with your sister's husband? It wasn't like that. I never wanted this to happen. I never wanted to hurt you, but you did. For 2 years. She was crying so hard she could barely breathe. I know, and I hate myself for it. I hate myself so much. Why, Emily? Why would you do this? She looked up at me, and I saw something in her eyes I'd never seen before. Raw honesty. Ugly truth. Because I was jealous of you. I've always been jealous of you. I felt like I'd been slapped. What? You're the perfect one, Sarah. You always have been. You're smarter, prettier, more successful. You always had everything figured out. And I was just the little sister who could never measure up. That's insane. I never made you feel that way. You didn't have to. It just was. Everyone loved you more. Mom and Dad were so proud of you. All my life, I heard about how wonderful Sarah is. How smart Sarah is. How Sarah became a nurse and helps people. How Sarah has the perfect marriage. So you decided to destroy that marriage, to make yourself feel better. No, I mean, I don't know. It wasn't that calculated. It just happened. Things don't just happen. Emily, you made choices. Every single time. She nodded, crying. You're right. I made terrible choices. When Jake and I started getting close. When things started feeling different, I should have stopped it. I should have put distance between us. But I didn't. Why not? Because he made me feel special. For the first time in my life, someone chose me over you. And that feeling was addicting. I felt nauseous. You destroyed our family because you wanted to feel special. I know how it sounds. I know I'm a horrible person. I've ruined everything. I've lost you. I've lost Mom and Dad's trust. I've lost myself. And for what? A relationship that was never going to work. That was built on lies and betrayal. Where is this relationship now? She looked down. We're still together. Kind of. He moved into my apartment after you kicked him out. So you got what you wanted. You got him. She shook her head violently. I don't want this. I don't want him. Not like this. Every time I look at him, I see what we did to you. It's eating me alive. Good it should. Sarah, please. I know I don't deserve it. I know I have no right to ask. But is there any chance you could ever forgive me? Maybe not now. But someday. I looked at my baby sister. The girl I'd raised in many ways. The girl I'd loved unconditionally. And I felt nothing. No love. No hate. Just emptiness. You need to leave. Sarah, I said leave. Get out. Please don't tell Mom and Dad. Please. It will kill them. I laughed bitterly. You should have thought about that before you slept with Jake. You should have thought about a lot of things. So you're going to tell them. I'm going to tell everyone. Our parents. Our family. Our friends. I'm not keeping your dirty secret. You did this. You deal with the consequences. Her face went white. Please, please don't. Get out, Emily. And don't contact me again. She stood up, crying, begging, but I opened the door and waited until she left. The next few months were the hardest of my life. I hired a divorce lawyer, a tough woman named Patricia, who'd been through her own messy divorce and didn't take any nonsense. Jake fought me on everything. The house, the savings, the furniture, everything. He claimed he deserved half of everything, because he'd contributed to our marriage too. My lawyer laughed when she heard that. In our state, infidelity matters. Especially documented infidelity. And oh, did I document it? I hired a private investigator. Spent $2,000 I didn't really have, but I needed evidence. Concrete proof. The investigator was thorough. Over the course of 2 weeks, he followed Jake and Emily. Got photos of them together. Entering hotels, kissing in parking lots. Getting coffee together. Walking hand in hand through parks. But that wasn't enough. I needed more. I needed proof that this had been going on as long as Jake had admitted. So I did something I'm not proud of. I hacked Jake's computer. I knew his passwords. We'd always shared everything. Or so I thought. I found everything. Emails going back 2.5 years. Text messages that had been backed up. Photos they'd taken together. Receipts from romantic dinners. Hotel bookings, plane tickets. They'd taken trips together, mini vacations while I thought Jake was at conferences. They'd spent weekends at beach resorts, mountain cabins. They'd celebrated anniversaries of their first time together, sent each other love notes. They'd built a whole relationship behind my back, a secret life. Reading through those messages made me physically ill. The things they said to each other, the way they talked about me. Jake complaining about me, Emily commiserating, both of them justifying what they were doing. In one email, Jake had written about feeling guilty after making love to me, said he felt like he was cheating on Emily. The irony. In another, Emily had written about seeing me at a family dinner and feeling terrible. But then she wrote about how Jake made her feel alive in a way nothing else did. How their love was real, even if it was wrong. Their love. They called it love. I printed everything, every email, every text, every receipt, organized it all in a binder, gave it to my lawyer. When Patricia saw it, she smiled. This is good, Sarah. Really good. His lawyer is going to tell him to settle. And that's exactly what happened. When we met for mediation, Jake's lawyer took one look at the evidence and pulled Jake aside for a private conversation. 30 minutes later, Jake agreed to give me everything I asked for. The house, 70% of our savings, all the furniture, my car, everything. I wanted him to hurt financially, the way he'd hurt me emotionally. But the money wasn't the worst part for Jake. Not even close. The worst part was what happened when everyone found out. I told our parents first. Set them down in their living room. Dad on one side of me, Mom on the other. And I told them everything. My mom started crying before I even finished. My dad sat there in silence, his face getting redder and redder. When I was done, my dad stood up. I need to make a phone call. He called Jake. I could hear him shouting through the phone, calling Jake a disgrace, a coward, telling him he was ashamed to have ever called him son. Then he called Emily. That conversation was shorter. He told her not to come home, that she wasn't welcome, that he had no daughter who could do something like this. My mom cried for 3 days straight. She felt like she'd failed as a mother, that she'd raised Emily wrong, that she should have seen the signs. I tried to tell her this wasn't her fault, but she wouldn't listen. Our extended family found out next. Aunts, uncles, cousins. I didn't tell all of them directly, but word spread fast. Small family, big news. The reactions were unanimous. Shock, horror, disgust. Nobody could believe Emily would do this. Sweet Emily, shy Emily, Emily who wouldn't hurt a fly. But she had hurt someone. She'd hurt me. In the worst possible way. Our friends found out next. I didn't hide anything. When people asked why Jake and I were getting divorced, I told them the truth. He had an affair with my sister. The reactions were always the same. Eyes getting wide, jaws dropping. People saying, "Oh my God," over and over again. Our mutual friends had to choose sides. Most chose mine. They stopped inviting Jake to things, unfriended him on social media. Some sent him messages telling him exactly what they thought of him. Jake's own family turned on him too. His mom called me crying, apologizing for her son, saying she was so ashamed. His dad told him he was a disappointment. His sister, who I'd been close with, sent Jake a long message about how disgusted she was. Jake became a pariah. In our social circle, in our neighborhood, even at his work, word had gotten around his office, about the affair, about who it was with. People started treating him differently, with judgment, with disgust. He was passed over for a promotion he'd been promised. His boss told him it was about performance. But Jake knew the truth. His personal life had affected his professional reputation. Meanwhile, Emily wasn't faring much better. She'd lost our entire family. Mom eventually started talking to her again after several months. But it wasn't the same. That trust was gone. That closeness was shattered. Dad refused to speak to her for over a year. Wouldn't take her calls. Wouldn't see her. She'd broken his heart. Emily's friends found out too. Some of them knew me. They were horrified. Others who didn't know me were still shocked. Your own sister. How could you? Emily couldn't go to family gatherings anymore. Couldn't come to holidays. My parents had to do separate dinners, separate Christmases. The family was fractured. And Jake and Emily's relationship, the one they'd destroyed everything for, it was falling apart. According to my sources, and yes, I kept tabs through mutual friends. They were miserable. living together in Emily's small apartment, fighting constantly. Turns out, a relationship built on sneaking around and forbidden excitement doesn't translate well to everyday reality, when they actually had to be a normal couple, dealing with bills and laundry, and whose turn it was to take out the trash. The magic disappeared. Jake resented Emily for costing him his marriage, his house, his reputation, his promotion. Emily resented Jake for the same reasons. They blamed each other for their situation. The guilt ate at them too. Every day, they had to face what they'd done. They couldn't escape it. It was in every conversation, every look. Every moment of their relationship was tainted by the betrayal it was built on. My friend Rachel ran into them at a grocery store about 8 months after my divorce was finalized. She said they looked miserable. Jake looked exhausted, like he hadn't slept in days. Emily looked like she'd been crying. They were arguing about something stupid in the produce section. When they saw Rachel, they both froze. Rachel said the look on their faces was pure shame. They quickly paid for their groceries and left. Another friend, Marcus, saw them at a restaurant. He said they sat in complete silence for most of the meal, barely looked at each other. The energy between them was tense and uncomfortable. The fairy tale was over. The fantasy they'd created, where their forbidden love was special and worth all the pain they'd caused. It crumbled in the face of reality. Meanwhile, I was slowly rebuilding my life. It wasn't easy. Some days I'd wake up and the pain would hit me all over again. The betrayal, the loss, the sheer magnitude of what had been taken from me. I went to therapy. Twice a week at first, then once a week. My therapist, Dr. Martinez, helped me process everything. The anger, the grief, the violation. She helped me understand that what happened wasn't my fault, that I couldn't have prevented it, that Jake and Emily made their own choices, and those choices reflected on them, not on me. Slowly, very slowly, I started to heal. I threw myself into work, picked up extra shifts, focused on helping my patients. There was something healing about caring for others, about making a difference in people's lives. I got a promotion, head nurse in the emergency department. More responsibility, better pay, a sense of accomplishment. I started exercising regularly. Not to change how I looked, but because it made me feel strong, powerful, in control of my own body in a way I hadn't felt in years. I reconnected with old friends I'd lost touch with during my marriage. Friends from college, from nursing school, from my old neighborhood. It was nice to have relationships that had nothing to do with Jake or Emily. I took a trip to Europe by myself. Spain, France, Italy. For 2 weeks, I was just Sarah, not someone's wife, not someone's sister, just me. Exploring new cities, eating amazing food, meeting interesting people. It was liberating. I started remembering who I was before Jake. The dreams I'd had, the person I'd wanted to become. Somewhere along the way, I'd lost myself in being a wife, in trying to be perfect for someone who didn't appreciate it. I started dating after about a year. Nothing serious. Just coffee dates here and there. Getting used to the idea of being with someone new. Remembering that I was desirable. That what Jake did wasn't a reflection of my worth. Most of the dates were fine but forgettable. Nice guys, but no spark. I wasn't ready for anything serious anyway. I was still healing, still putting myself back together. And then I met David. It was about 18 months after my divorce was finalized. David was a doctor at my hospital, Dr. David Chen. He'd been working there for about 6 months. I'd seen him around but we'd never really talked. One day, we ended up in the break room at the same time. It was 3 a.m. We'd both been dealing with a massive car accident. Multiple casualties. Exhausting. Traumatic night. We sat there in comfortable silence for a while, both too tired to talk. Then he said, "Rough night." I laughed. "Yeah, you could say that." We started talking. About the case. About the job. About why we became medical professionals. The conversation flowed naturally. Before I knew it, an hour had passed. Our breaks were over. We both needed to get back. As we were leaving, he said, "We should do this again sometime. Coffee, I mean. When we're not covered in blood, and exhausted." I surprised myself by saying yes. We went for coffee 3 days later. A real coffee date, at a cafe near. We went for coffee 3 days later. A real coffee date, at a cafe near the hospital. I was nervous. More nervous than I'd been in years. This was different from those forgettable dates I'd been on. I actually liked David. I actually wanted this to go well, and it did. It went better than well. We talked for 3 hours. About everything. Our families, our careers, our dreams, our fears. He told me about growing up in San Francisco. About his traditional Chinese parents, who'd wanted him to be a doctor since he was 5. About the pressure and expectations, but also the love. I told him about my family too. About growing up with Emily. About how close we used to be. I didn't tell him about the betrayal yet. It was too soon. Too heavy for a first date. But as we kept seeing each other, as coffee dates turned into dinner dates turned into actual relationship conversations, I knew I had to tell him. He needed to know what he was getting into. The baggage I carried, the broken trust, the family drama. We'd been dating for about 2 months when I finally told him everything. We were at his apartment, having dinner. He'd cooked some amazing Chinese dish his mom had taught him to make. We were drinking wine, relaxed, comfortable, and I just started talking. I told him about Jake, about Emily, about walking in on them, about the divorce, about how my family had been torn apart, about how I was still healing, still learning to trust again. I was terrified he'd run, that it would be too much, that he'd decide I wasn't worth the complication. But he didn't run. He listened, really listened. When I finished, when I was crying into my wine glass, he moved closer to me, put his arm around me. He said, "I'm sorry that happened to you. You didn't deserve that. Nobody deserves that." Then he said something that made me fall a little bit in love with him right then. He said, "Their betrayal doesn't define you, Sarah. It defines them. You're one of the strongest people I've ever met, and I feel lucky to know you." I cried harder then, but they were good tears. Healing tears. David and I took things slow. He never pushed, never pressured. He let me set the pace. He understood that I needed time, that I needed to rebuild my ability to trust. And slowly, I did trust him. I trusted the way he showed up when he said he would. The way he communicated clearly. The way he never played games. The way he introduced me to his friends, his family, with pride. The way he talked about our future like it was real and certain. He was everything Jake wasn't. Honest, consistent, kind. He made me feel safe. Around this same time, about 2 years after my divorce, I started hearing things about Jake and Emily. The relationship was getting worse, much worse. They'd been together about 2 years at that point, and it was toxic, really toxic. They fought constantly, screamed at each other, neighbors complained about the noise. Jake had started drinking more, coming home late. Emily suspected he was cheating on her. The irony wasn't lost on anyone. They'd break up and get back together every few months. Each breakup more dramatic than the last. Each reunion more desperate. My friend told me Emily had called her once, crying, asking if she thought people could change. If someone who'd cheated once, would cheat again. She didn't tell Emily what she really thought, but she told me. Once a cheater, always a cheater. Jake wasn't doing well either. His career had stalled completely. He was still at the same marketing firm, but he hadn't gotten a single promotion. Had been passed over multiple times. His reputation was permanently damaged. He'd gained weight, started looking older than his age. The stress and guilt were eating him alive. One of his old college friends told me Jake had admitted to him, while drunk, that leaving me was the biggest mistake of his life. That he'd give anything to go back and change things. That Emily was never supposed to be permanent. That she was just supposed to be temporary. A mistake. When Emily found out Jake had said that, there was a huge blow-up. She threw him out. Threw all his stuff on the lawn. Screamed at him in front of the neighbors. They broke up for real that time. Or so I thought. It was messy. Jake moved into a cheap studio apartment. Started going to bars every night. Emily started posting cryptic messages on social media. Sad quotes about betrayal and heartbreak. As if she had any right to talk about betrayal. Some of our old mutual friends felt sorry for them. Felt like they'd suffered enough. Suggested maybe it was time to forgive and forget. But I wasn't there yet. Maybe I'd never be there. They'd destroyed my life for their own selfish desires. They'd broken my heart, broken my trust, broken my family. And now they were suffering the consequences of their own actions. That's not cruel, that's karma. About 6 months after Jake and Emily broke up, I got engaged to David. He proposed on a beach in Malibu, sunset, simple, Perfect. Just the two of us. He got down on one knee and said, "Sarah, you're the bravest, strongest, most beautiful person I've ever known. I want to spend the rest of my life making you as happy as you make me. Will you marry me?" I said yes, before he even finished the question. We decided on a small wedding, just close friends and family. No drama, no stress, just celebration. When we sent out invitations, there was one big question. Do we invite Emily? My mom asked me to consider it, said Emily was still my sister, that she'd made terrible mistakes, but she was sorry, that maybe this could be a chance for healing. I thought about it. Really thought about it. Part of me wanted to be the bigger person, to show Emily that I'd moved on, that I was happy, that her betrayal hadn't destroyed me. But another part of me wasn't ready. Couldn't imagine her there on my special day. Couldn't imagine looking at her and not seeing her in bed with Jake. I decided not to invite her. David supported my decision completely, said it was my day, my choice, and whatever I decided was right. Emily sent a card when she heard about my engagement. A simple congratulations card. Inside, she'd written a note, short and simple. "Sarah, I'm so happy for you. You deserve all the happiness in the world. I know I'm not invited to the wedding, and I understand. I just want you to know that I think about you every day. I miss you every day. And I'm sorry every day. I hope someday you can forgive me. Love always, Emily." I cried when I read it. Not because I forgave her. I didn't. Not yet. Maybe not ever. But because I felt sad. Sad for what we'd lost. Sad for the relationship we'd never get back. I put the card in a drawer and tried not to think about it. My wedding day was perfect. Beautiful venue overlooking the ocean. Close friends and family. My parents walked me down the aisle together, both crying happy tears. David's family welcomed me with open arms. His mom hugged me and told me she was so happy David had found me. During the ceremony, as I was saying my vows, looking into David's eyes, promising to love and cherish him, I felt something shift inside me. I felt free. Free from the past. Free from the pain. Free from Jake and Emily and everything they'd taken from me. I was starting a new chapter. A better chapter. With a man who truly loved me, who truly valued me, who I could truly trust. At the reception, my maid of honor, my friend Rachel, gave a speech. She talked about how she'd watched me go through the hardest time of my life. How she'd seen me broken. How she'd worried I'd never heal. But then she talked about watching me rebuild. Watching me become stronger. Watching me find real love with David. She said I was an inspiration. That my story wasn't about betrayal. It was about survival. About resilience. About refusing to let other people's actions define my worth. I cried through that whole speech. Happy tears this time. Grateful tears. After the wedding, David and I went to Bali for our honeymoon. 2 weeks of paradise. Beautiful beaches. Amazing food, spa treatments. Just pure relaxation and happiness. We talked about our future. About buying a house. About maybe starting a family in a year or two. About growing old together. And unlike my conversations with Jake, these felt real, solid, based on truth and trust, and actual love. When we got back from our honeymoon, we started house hunting. We found a beautiful place, in a nice neighborhood. Bigger than my old house with Jake. More modern, more us. As we were signing the papers, sitting in the real estate office, I thought about the house I'd shared with Jake, the house where I'd caught him with Emily, the house I'd fought so hard to keep in the divorce. I'd sold it about a year earlier, couldn't live there anymore. Too many memories, too much pain. Every room reminded me of the life I'd thought I had. The future I'd thought I was building. Some people thought I should have stayed. That I'd fought for it, earned it, deserved it. But I didn't want it. I wanted a fresh start. A clean slate. The new house, our house, David's and mine, it had no bad memories, no ghosts, just potential, just possibility, just our future. We moved in together, and it felt right, natural, easy. David was an equal partner in everything. We split chores, split decisions, split everything. It was a real partnership. The kind I'd thought I had with Jake, but never really did. I got another promotion at work. Nursing director of the entire emergency department. More responsibility, more stress, but also more fulfillment. I was making a real difference. Leading a team, saving lives. David's career was going well too. He'd been asked to lead a new program at the hospital. He was excited, passionate. We'd talk for hours about our work, supporting each other, celebrating each other's wins. Life was good, really good. Better than I'd ever imagined it could be after everything I'd been through. And then, about 2.5 years after my wedding, I ran into Jake. It was completely random. I was at a coffee shop with David. It was a Saturday morning. We were laughing about something. I don't even remember what. Just enjoying each other's company. Planning our day. And Jake walked in. He looked different. Older. More worn down. He'd lost some weight, but not in a healthy way. He looked tired, sad, defeated. He saw me immediately. His eyes went wide. He froze in the doorway. For a second, I thought he might leave. But then he took a breath and walked over to our table. "Sarah," he said. His voice was shaky. "Jake," I said calmly. He looked at David, then back at me. "I heard you got married. Congratulations." "Thank you." There was an awkward silence. He shifted his weight from foot to foot. "You look happy." "I am." "Good. That's good. You deserve to be happy." I introduced him to David. They shook hands. It was painfully awkward. David knew exactly who Jake was, what he'd done. But he was polite, cordial. Jake made small talk for a minute. Asked how I was doing. I kept my answers short. Polite but distant. Finally, he said what he'd really come over to say. "Sarah, I just want you to know, I'm sorry. For everything. I know that doesn't change anything. I know it doesn't fix anything. But I need you to know. Leaving you was the biggest mistake of my life." I looked at him. Really looked at him. And I felt nothing. No anger. No pain. No satisfaction. Just nothing. He was a stranger to me now. Someone I used to know. Someone who used to matter. But not anymore. "I appreciate that," I said. "I hope you're doing well." He nodded, his eyes glistening with tears. "I'm not, but I'm trying. I'm in therapy. Working on myself. Trying to be better." "That's good, Jake. I mean that." He looked like he wanted to say more. But David reached over and took my hand. The message was clear. This conversation was over. I had moved on. I had someone new, someone better. Someone who actually valued me. Jake saw it too. He nodded. "It was good seeing you, Sarah." "You too, Jake." And he left. Got his coffee and walked out. David squeezed my hand. "You okay?" I realized I was completely okay. More than okay. Seeing Jake didn't hurt anymore. It didn't make me angry. It didn't make me sad. I just felt neutral. Indifferent. "He's part of my past," I said. "And my past led me to you. So in a weird way, I'm grateful." David smiled. "I love you. I love you too." That encounter with Jake gave me closure I didn't know I needed. It showed me how far I'd come. How much I'd healed. How completely I'd moved on. A few months later, I heard through my mom that Emily had moved away. She'd gotten a job offer in Seattle. A fresh start in a new city where nobody knew her story. Nobody knew what she'd done. My mom asked if I wanted Emily's new address. Her new phone number. In case I ever wanted to reach out. I thought about it. Part of me was curious. Part of me wondered if enough time had passed. If enough healing had happened. If maybe, possibly, someday, we could rebuild something. But I wasn't ready. Not yet. Maybe not ever. And that was okay. I didn't owe Emily forgiveness. I didn't owe her a relationship. I didn't owe her anything. If healing happened, it would happen on my timeline. Not hers. Not anyone else's. Mine. That Christmas, Emily sent me another card. She'd been sending them every year. Birthday cards. Christmas cards. Always simple. Always apologetic. I usually just put them in a drawer without responding. But this year's card was different. Inside, she'd written a longer note. She told me about her new life in Seattle. How she was in therapy. How she'd been doing hard work on herself. Understanding her jealousy, her insecurity. Why she'd done what she did. She wasn't making excuses. She was taking responsibility. She wrote about how she thought about me every day. How she missed having me in her life. How she understood, if I never forgave her. But she hoped I knew how truly sorry she was. And then she wrote something that actually made me pause. She wrote, "Losing you was the real consequence of what I did. Not losing our family's respect. Not losing my reputation. Losing you. My big sister. My best friend. The person who always protected me. That's the price I paid." And I'll pay it for the rest of my life if I have to. But I want you to know, I'm genuinely happy you found love again. I'm genuinely happy you're doing well. Your happiness doesn't make me jealous anymore. It makes me hopeful. Hopeful that good things happen to good people. Hopeful that you got the life you deserved. The life I tried to take from you. I'm sorry, Sarah. Forever and always, I'm sorry. I read that card 3 times, cried a little, not because I forgave her, but because I felt something shift. Something small. Maybe the tiniest seed of possibility. I didn't respond. Not yet. But I kept the card, put it in a special place. Not hidden away in a drawer like the others, but on my desk, where I could see it. David found me looking at it one day. Asked me about it. I told him everything Emily had written. He asked what I was going to do. I don't know, I said honestly. Part of me wants to reach out. To see if maybe enough time has passed. But another part of me is scared. Scared of getting hurt again. Scared of letting her back in and having her disappoint me again. David took my hand. Whatever you decide, I support you. But Sarah, I've watched you heal over these past few years. I've watched you become whole again. You're strong enough to handle whatever happens. Whether you forgive her or you don't. Whether you let her back in, or you don't. You're strong enough. His words meant everything to me. A few weeks later, I did something I never thought I'd do. I wrote Emily back, not a long letter. Just a short note. I told her I'd gotten her card. That I appreciated her honesty. That I wasn't ready to talk yet. But maybe someday. That I hoped she was doing well in Seattle. That I hoped her therapy was helping. That I was glad she was working on herself. And then I wrote something that surprised even me. I wrote, I don't know if I'll ever fully forgive you, Emily. What you did changed me forever. But I'm learning that holding on to anger hurts me more than it hurts you. So I'm working on letting go. Not for you. For me. This doesn't mean we're okay. It doesn't mean I'm ready to have you back in my life. But it means, I'm open to the possibility. Someday. Maybe. We'll see. I sent the letter before I could change my mind. Emily wrote back a week later. A short note thanking me. Not pushing for more. Not asking for more. Just thanking me for even considering the possibility. That was 6 months ago. We've exchanged a few emails since then. Nothing deep. Nothing heavy. Just surface level updates. How are you? How's work? How's the weather in Seattle? Baby steps. Maybe they'll lead somewhere. Maybe they won't. But at least I'm trying. At least I'm open. That's more than I ever thought I'd be. As for Jake, I haven't seen him since that day in the coffee shop. I heard he moved to a different city too. San Diego, I think. Another fresh start. Running from his past like Emily had. I hope he's doing better. I genuinely do. Not because I forgive him. Not because I care about him. But because I'm not angry anymore. Anger takes energy. Energy I'd rather spend on my actual life. My actual relationships. The people who matter. My life now is everything I never knew I needed. David and I just celebrated our 3rd wedding anniversary. We're talking seriously about starting a family next year. I got promoted again. Director of nursing for the entire hospital. David's program is thriving. We bought a beach house. Our dream vacation home. We spend weekends there, walking on the beach, watching sunsets, planning our future, making memories. My parents are doing well. They've healed too. My mom has a better relationship with Emily now. They talk on the phone every week. My dad is slowly coming around. He's still hurt, still disappointed. But he's trying. Our family will never be what it was. That innocence is gone. That blind trust is shattered. But we're building something new. Something more honest. Something more real. Sometimes I think about that Tuesday in October. The day I walked in, and my life fell apart. The day I discovered the worst betrayal I could imagine. And I think about how that day, as horrible as it was, led me here. To this life. To this love. To this version of myself that's stronger, wiser, more whole than I ever was before. Jake and Emily didn't break me. They tried. God knows they tried. But they didn't break me. They broke themselves. They destroyed their own lives for something that was never real. Never lasting. Never worth it. And me, I rebuilt. I healed. I found real love. I found myself. So yes, karma is real. But it's not always dramatic. It's not always instant. Sometimes it's just watching people destroy themselves while you build something beautiful. Sometimes it's just living well, being happy, moving forward while they stay stuck in their guilt and regret. That's the best revenge. Not anger. Not bitterness. Not holding grudges. Just living your best life. Being genuinely happy. Showing them, and showing yourself, that they didn't win. They didn't destroy you. They only destroyed themselves. If you're going through something similar right now, if you've been betrayed by someone you trusted, someone you loved, I want you to know something. It gets better. I promise you, it gets better. The pain you're feeling right now, it won't last forever. The betrayal doesn't define you. It defines them. You are stronger than you think. You will survive this. You will heal. You will love again. You will trust again. You will be happy again. It takes time. It takes work. It takes therapy and tears, and hard days and setbacks. But you will get there. I promise. And when you do, when you're on the other side, when you've rebuilt your life and found your happiness, you'll look back and realize that the worst thing that ever happened to you became the catalyst for the best thing that could have happened. So thank you for listening to my story. Thank you for being here. If this resonated with you, if it helped you in any way, please like this video, and subscribe to my channel. Share your own stories in the comments. Support each other. We're all in this together. And remember, karma always comes around. Always. Sometimes it's loud and dramatic. Sometimes it's quiet and slow. But it always comes. Take care of yourselves. Be kind to yourselves. And know that you deserve better. You deserve real love, real trust, real happiness, and you will find it. I promise you, you will find it.